Recording begins. Station ID GNN 7729. Program Galactic Perspectives with Gutty. I'm Gutty, three-time silver medalist in the Neutron Weight Gravity Wrestling Championships and your host for this special post-games edition of Galactic Perspective. And let me tell you something that won't shock a single sentient being watching this broadcast. Humans won. Again. Everything as usual. Said a voice. The 87th Galactic Games have officially concluded, and humans have officially concluded, and humans have claimed 78% of all medals awarded. 78%! That's not just statistical dominance, that's a mockery of interspecies competition itself. Footage plays showing human athletes on podiums, their expressions varying from tearful joy to stoic pride. Look at them, standing there as if they earned it, as if this was all fair play. My third breathing bladder nearly ruptures every time I see it. Some of you newer viewers might not remember when humans first joined the Galactic Alliance 50 standard years ago. I do. I remember it vividly. When their delegates first waddled onto the council floor, most of us thought it was some kind of practical joke. Bipedal. Furless except for random patches, no protective exoskeleton, no secondary limbs, no venom capability. Their visual spectrum was laughably narrow, their auditory range pathetic. They couldn't even process simple quantum probabilities without technological assistance. Archived footage shows first contact with humans, who appear small and unimpressive next to various council representatives. The Muldarians laughed so hard their filtering membranes prolapsed. The Vortigaunt delegation suggested we classify humans as a protected species rather than a member race. Even my own people, the HYF, who pride ourselves on our hospitality, wondered if allowing humans into competitive events was some form of charity. And then, deep inhalation through all three nasal cavities, they started competing. The first few years were unremarkable. Humans placed occasionally in endurance events. Apparently, their bizarre biology allows them to persist despite grievous fluid loss. They won a few strategy competitions, though nothing that couldn't be explained by beginner's luck. But by the 80th Games, it started. By the 83rd, it was concerning. Now, it's an epidemic of human victory. Montage of human victories over the years, showing progression from occasional wins to domination. Last week, a human named Sanchez broke the quantum hurdles record by 2 full seconds. 2 seconds. The Philosian champion, whose species literally evolved to phase through solid matter, finished a distant second. A human child, took gold in the memory matrices competition against a hive mind collective with 12,000 years of stored knowledge. And don't get me started on the strength competitions. Humans have no right to lift what they lift. Their muscle density shouldn't allow it. Their skeletal structure should collapse. Yet there they are, standing atop podiums, grinning with those flat, herbivore-like teeth, while judges from 17 different species confirm their impossible achievements. Cuts to interview footage. We have theories, says Z.K. Nar, head researcher at the Competitive Physiology Institute and my guest from earlier this broadcast. Humans might be unconsciously manipulating gravitational fields, or perhaps they're biosynthesizing performance compounds our scanners can't detect. Some even suggest psychological warfare. They've somehow convinced the universe itself to bend in their favor. Absurd? Perhaps. But what's the alternative? That these pink, squishy newcomers actually earned all those medals? Gutty's skin shifts from its normal iridescent green to a frustrated purple. I've personally investigated 17 claims of human cheating over the past decade. I've interviewed judges, examined equipment, studied surveillance footage at the molecular level. I've hired quantum oracles, probability calculators, and even a black market precognitive Fury to find proof of human malfeasance. And nothing. Nothing. Every ruling stands, every medal remains around their fragile necks. Even the automated judging systems, the ones specifically designed by the Mechanoid Collective to be immune to any biological influence, confirm human victories again and again and again. Deep exhales, skin slowly returning to normal coloration. The 88th Galactic Games will begin in just 2 standard years. Qualifying events start next month. And yes, I'll be there, covering every moment, probably watching humans claim 80% of the medals next time. But mark my words, viewers, this can't continue forever. No species dominates indefinitely. Their winning streak must end sometime. It must. Gutty stares directly into camera, all 4 eyes narrowed. This has been Galactic Perspectives with Gutty. Until next time, may your victories be well earned, unlike some species I could mention. Recording ends. Recording resumes. Station ID GNA 8103. Program Cultural Insights with Gutty. Gutty sits at a sleek desk, skin a dull olive color indicating professional restraint. The studio backdrop features holographic representations of various artistic and scientific achievements. Greetings, sentients. I'm Gutty, now your, barely perceptible pause, cultural correspondent for Galactic News Network. All 4 eyes blink in sequence, a jai-up expression of resigned acceptance. Yes, that's correct. After my, shall we call it, passionate commentary during the 87th Galactic Games, network management decided my talents might be better suited to covering the Interstellar Arts and Sciences Awards. Apparently questioning how humans consistently defy physiological limitations is unsportsmanlike and bordering on xenophobic conspiracy theory. Gutty's skin briefly flashes crimson before returning to olive. So here I am, covering the arts and sciences, where surely merit is clear and achievements are properly distributed among the many brilliant species of our galactic community. Sarcastic tone. Oh, forearms spread wide. Oh, wait, look at this. The results are in from last night's Grand Symphony competition, and the winner is... Dramatic pause. A human. Again. So human from the footage plays of a young human female accepting a crystalline trophy, tears streaming down her face. That's right, Sophia McCoy, a 12-year-old human, 12 so clear old, has defeated composers who have been studying harmonics since before her species discovered electricity. Her symphonic piece Echoes of Earth apparently moved the judging panel to emotional states previously unexplored through sound. Gutty's third arm reaches for something off-screen, but is quickly pulled back. Let me share what Archmaster Xilonix of the Harmonious Collective had to say. This is a being composed entirely of sound waves who has existed for over 4,000 years, cuts to footage of a shimmering, oscillating entity. The human child has discovered something we have sought for millennia, the mathematical relationship between rhythm and emotion that transcends species barriers. It is humbling for a species that literally invented the concept of music as we understand it. Gutty's skin ripples with suppressed agitation. And it's not just music. The Theoretical Physics Breakthrough Award, Human, the Galactic Literature Prize, Human, the Interdimensional Architecture Award, 3 humans working as a collective. The combined sciences medals tally this cycle. Humans, 41%. All other species, 59%. That's 4% of the galactic population taking nearly half the awards. Deep breath through all respiratory openings. Now, I promised network executives I would maintain journalistic objectivity, so I did what any responsible reporter would do. I investigated the judging systems. Many categories now use AI-controlled evaluation matrices, supposedly for maximum fairness and elimination of unconscious bias. These systems were designed by the Mechanoid Collective, who have no reason to favor organics of any type, let alone humans specifically. Footage of sterile white room filled with floating crystalline structures. I gained special access to the central judging algorithm facility. With permission, of course. Mostly with permission. I personally examined the code structures that determine artistic and scientific merit. I brought in independent experts from 17 species. We found nothing. No bias, no hidden parameters favoring human neurology or aesthetic principles. In fact, and this is the truly infuriating part, the algorithms were specifically designed to account for the unique perceptual frameworks of all 248 member species of the Galactic Alliance. They include quantum uncertainty factors, pan-conscious evaluation metrics, and even multidimensional appreciation indices for species that experience time non-linearly. Gutty's skin now shifting between olive and yellow. Let me share something that didn't make it into the official broadcast last night. Lowers voice, leans toward camera. I was there, in the audience, when McCoy performed her symphony. I was ready, eager, even, to be underwhelmed. To finally confirm my suspicion that human achievements are overrated. And then she began. Gutty's eyes closed briefly. I have 4 cardiac organs. Each one responds to different emotional stimuli. As that human child conducted her symphony, I felt all 4 beating in perfect synchronized harmony for the first time in my life. I found myself experiencing something I cannot name, a sense of connection to every living being in that auditorium, regardless of biological structure or evolutionary history. For 13 minutes and 42 seconds, I forgot I was supposed to resent her victory. Abrupt shift, skin returning to professional olive, but that's beside the point. The pattern remains clear. In competition after competition, field after field, humans continue to accumulate accolades at a rate that defies statistical probability. Maybe they're not cheating in any way we can detect, but something is happening. Something we're missing. Gutty adjusts posture, attempting to regain composure. Next week, I'll be covering the aftermath of the War of the 7 Systems, where, checks notes, all 4 eyes widening. Humans led many of the decisive battles despite being one of the militarily least advanced species in the Alliance. I'm sure that coverage will be completely free of humans winning recognition they couldn't possibly deserve. Gutty's skin now a resigned gray-green. This has been Cultural Insights with Gutty. Until next time, may your achievements be recognized if you can manage to be noticed alongside humans. Recording ends. Recording resumes. Station ID GN88427. Program War Correspondent Gutty. Frontline reports. Gutty appears on screen wearing a modified protective vest with the GNN logo. Background shows a military outpost on Proxima Station, the Alliance headquarters for post-war operations. Gutty's skin is a muted gray mood, indicating professional solemnity. This is Gutty, reporting from Proxima Station Central Command for Alliance Forces, following the conclusion of what historians are already calling the most devastating conflict since the Formation Wars 3 millennia ago. The War of the 7 Systems has officially ended. The Void Collective has been pushed back beyond the quantum barrier, their hive mind fractured, their assimilation efforts thwarted. Footage plays showing devastated planets, wrecked starships, and various species working together on rescue operations. For those who somehow missed the largest news story of the past standard year, the Void Collective, a hive mind species from beyond the quantum barrier, launched simultaneous attacks across 7 key systems of the Galactic Alliance. Their technology was unlike anything we'd encountered. Their strategy, rapid assimilation of sentient beings into their collective consciousness. The Alliance was caught unprepared. The Muldarians, with their vaunted 1,000-year battle planning, were overrun in 6 days. The Mechanoid Collective's defensive algorithms were bypassed in hours. Even the Chronal Guardians, who can literally see attacks before they happen, suffered catastrophic losses. And then the humans entered the conflict. Gutty's upper arms cross in what appears to be an unconscious defensive posture. I've spent the past 3 weeks interviewing military leaders from 17 species about the human contribution to our... Here's what Grand Admiral Vexnor of the Unified Fleet had to say. Cuts to footage of a massive tentacled being with bioluminescent patches pulsing as it speaks. The humans were unconventional. When our strategic models failed, they suggested tactics that violated every principle of modern warfare. They proposed using solar flares as weapons. They converted passenger vessels into suicide drones. They exploited quantum vulnerabilities we hadn't even classified yet. Without them, I calculate a 97.8% probability that the Alliance would have fallen within a standard month. Back to Gutty, whose skin has darkened slightly. General Kavash of the warrior caste expressed similar sentiments. Cut to an insectoid being in ceremonial armor. We have fought in 12 major conflicts over 9 centuries. Never have we witnessed such ferocity coupled with self-sacrifice. The human units consistently volunteered for the missions with the lowest survival probabilities. Their commander explained it as playing the odds. But there were no favorable odds, only certain death, delayed by varying intervals. Back to Guthy. Perhaps most disturbing was my interview with Hive Commander X7 Delta of the Mechanoid Collective. Mechanic cuts to a hovering metallic entity. Human battle algorithms appear chaotic and irrational when analyzed individually. When implemented across multiple fronts simultaneously, they create patterns of organized chaos that the Void Collective could not assimilate or predict. Analysis indicates humans utilize what they term intuition, a decision-making process that bypasses logical sequencing. We cannot replicate it, we cannot improve upon it. This is troubling. Back to Gutty's skin now showing mottled patterns of frustration. The Alliance victory came at devastating cost. 17 worlds rendered temporarily uninhabitable. Billions of sentient beings displaced. Hundreds of millions lost. Yet here we are, 3 standard weeks later, preparing for the grand victory celebration and medal ceremony. Guess which species is expected to receive an unprecedented number of commendations? Early reports suggest humans will receive 62% of all heroism medals, 71% of strategic victory commendations, and, most galling of all, every single one of the newly created Savior of the Alliance medallions. Every single one. Gutty's professional facade begins cracking, skin rapidly cycling through colors. I've covered human dominance in athletics. I've reported on their inexplicable achievements in arts and sciences, but this is beyond comprehension. The Phalosian Special Forces can literally phase through solid matter. The Chronal Guardians can manipulate localized time fields. The unified hive mind has the combined tactical knowledge of 12,000 years of warfare. Yet somehow it's the humans, with their pathetic 100-year lifespans and their fragile radiation-sensitive bodies, who led the decisive battles, who developed the critical strategies, who made the essential sacrifices. Deep breath, visible attempt to regain composure. This concludes my official report. GNN viewers seeking coverage of tomorrow's medal ceremony can tune into Gutty taps communication device in ear. Actually, we're experiencing technical difficulties with the feed. This is Gutty signing off early. Recording appears to end but continues after apparent equipment failure. Scene change. Gutty is now sitting in what appears to be the station's recreation area, specifically the interspecies bar. The GU-Up reporter is hunched over a table, surrounded by empty containers of various shapes and sizes. Skin color is a deep, agitated purple. Don't even understand why we keep letting them win everything. Slams lower arm on table. It's like the universe itself conspires to make humans look good. You know what the worst part is? The absolute worst part? They act like they don't even want all these medals and commendations, like winning is some terrible burden they carry, like gestures wildly to bartender who appears to be a reluctant audience. Captain Ward, the human who led that suicide mission to the collective's central node, I interviewed him yesterday, asked how it felt to be receiving the highest honor the Alliance can bestow. Know what he said? Attempt to mimic human voice poorly. I'd trade this medal and every other one to have my team back. As if a species that wins everything is suddenly concerned with the cost of victory. As if they Gutty suddenly freezes mid-gesture, all four eyes widening as they focus on something off-camera. The bar has gone eerily silent. What? What are you all staring at? Did I spill something on my... Gutty slowly turns, following the gaze of everyone in the bar. Oh. The recording catches a glimpse of a human figure in a simple uniform standing in the doorway, a prominent medal visible on his chest, before the feed cuts to static. Recording ends. No formal recording. Security camera footage from Proxima Station Recreation Area, Bar Section C7, timestamp 2387.55.8. The silence in the bar hung thick as vacuum. Gutty's final complaint died mid-sentence, as every being in the establishment, representatives of at least 12 different species, turned toward the entrance. A human stood in the doorway. Not particularly tall for his species, perhaps 180 centimeters, his simple gray uniform bore no rank insignia beyond a small silver pin indicating Alliance Fleet service. But prominently displayed on his chest was a medal that seemed to absorb rather than reflect the bar's ambient lighting. The newly created Savior of the Alliance medallion, its dark metal forged from the fused cores of the 7 worlds that had served as battleground. Captain Jason Ward, the hero of the Central Node assault, the man who had led the suicide mission that crippled the Void Collective's hive mind. He seemed smaller in person than in the news broadcasts. For a moment that stretched into eternity, no one moved. Gutty's skin cycled rapidly between embarrassed orange and mortified yellow. The JYP reporter's 4 eyes blinked in rapid, unsynchronized patterns of distress. Then Captain Ward did something unexpected. He smiled. Not the arrogant smile of a victor. Not the condescending smile of someone who had overheard criticism and planned to rebut it. A tired smile. A smile that seemed to acknowledge some private irony. "Sounds like someone could use a drinking partner," the human said, his voice unexpectedly soft as he crossed the room. "Mind if I join you?" Without waiting for permission, Ward slid into the seat opposite Gutty, who sat frozen, all forearms locked in place, mouth cavity slightly open, in what every species in the galaxy recognized as the universal expression of having been caught mid-insult. "Captain, I didn't..." Gutty stammered, skin now cycling so rapidly between colors it appeared almost white. Ward waved dismissively with one hand while signaling the bartender with the other. "2 more of whatever my friend here is having," he called out. When the bartender hesitated, eyes darting uncomfortably between the unlikely pair, Ward added, "Make mine the non-toxic to humans version, obviously." As the drinks arrived, the ambient noise of the bar gradually resumed. Other patrons politely pretended the tableau before them, the most decorated human hero of the war sharing drinks with the galaxy's most notoriously anti-human reporter, was completely normal. "Captain Ward, I want to apologize for my unprofessional..." Gutty began, but Ward cut him off. "You're right, you know," the human said, taking a careful sip of the blue liquid and wincing slightly. "About all of it." Gutty's color stabilized into a confused teal. What?" Ward absently touched the medal on his chest. "Humans win too much. It's not natural. It's not fair." He took another sip, made another face. "Gods, this is awful. How do you drink this?" "It's an acquired taste," Gutty replied automatically, still processing the human's words. "What do you mean, I'm right?" Ward set his drink down and reached into a pocket of his uniform. He placed a small device on the table between them, a standard holographic projector, military grade, with security encryptions visible on its casing. "This contains the unedited footage from the Central Node mission, not the sanitized version they're showing at the medal ceremony tomorrow. The real thing." Ward's eyes, only 2 of them, Gutty noted with the detached curiosity of the inebriated, looked suddenly older. "I think you should see it." Before Gutty could respond, Ward activated the device. The air between them shimmered and resolved into a 3-dimensional image taken from a helmet camera. The timestamp indicated it was from 3 weeks earlier during the final assault. What Gutty saw made all four of his hearts constrict simultaneously. The footage showed a team of 7 humans in battle armor, moving through an environment that seemed to defy physical laws. Corridors that twisted in non-Euclidean angles, surfaces that rippled like liquid while maintaining solid form. The Void Collective's central hub. There was no audio, but it wasn't necessary. Gutty could see everything clearly enough. One by one, the human team members fell, not in glorious combat poses like in the official broadcasts, but in horrible, mundane ways. One simply disappeared into what looked like a section of floor that suddenly wasn't there. Another's armor crumpled inward as if crushed by an invisible fist. A third began clawing at their helmet in obvious distress before collapsing. Through it all, the camera, filmed, kept moving forward. When only 2 humans remained, they reached a pulsating structure that could only be the central node. The other survivor began attaching devices to it. Explosive charges, Gutty realized. Then something massive moved in the background, something that hurt to look at directly. The other human turned, weapon raised, and motioned frantically for Ward to leave. The camera shook as if Ward was arguing, refusing to go. The other human physically pushed Ward toward an exit, then turned to face the approaching horror. The footage ended with Ward running through a disintegrating passageway, the structure collapsing behind him. When the hologram faded, Gutty realized his skin had gone completely colorless, the Jai-up equivalent of being pale with shock. "That was my team," Ward said quietly, "my friends. Saito, Johnson, Mbeki, Rodriguez, Petrov, and Chang. The best soldiers I've ever known." "The official report said you led the final assault," Gutty said, finding his voice. "That you placed the charges that destroyed the node," Ward laughed, a hollow sound with no humor in it. "That was Chang. She was our demolitions expert. I was just the navigator. My only job was to get them there and get them out. I failed at half of that." He took another sip of his drink. Alliance Command thought a story about a team of heroes sacrificing themselves was too demoralizing. Better to have 1 hero who succeeded triumphantly than 6 who died while 1 ran away. "But that's not what happened," Gutty protested. "You didn't run. Chang ordered you to go." "Tell that to my dreams," Ward replied. He touched the metal again, and this time Gutty noticed the gesture seemed almost like a nervous tick. "Tomorrow they're giving me this thing. For extraordinary heroism in facing overwhelming odds. For turning the tide of the greatest conflict in recent history." His fingers moved from the metal to a small case he withdrew from another pocket. He placed it on the table, opened it. Inside was a data chip. "This contains my resignation from Alliance service, effective immediately after the ceremony. Also my formal request that the medals be issued posthumously to my team instead." Ward's expression hardened. "They'll deny the request, of course. The story's already out there. Captain Ward, the hero who single-handedly saved the Alliance, makes for better morale than the truth." "But why are you telling me this?" Gutty asked, genuinely confused. "I'm a reporter. I could broadcast this." "That's exactly why I'm telling you," Ward said. "Because someone should know? Because winning isn't what everyone thinks it is?" Gutty's journalistic instincts, dulled by alcohol but not eliminated, surfaced. "So I was right? Humans aren't really winning all these medals and competitions fairly?" Ward's laugh this time held genuine amusement. "Oh, we win them fairly. That's the tragedy of it all." He leaned forward, elbows on the table, suddenly intense. "You want to know why humans keep winning? Why we dominate sports we shouldn't be physically capable of winning? Why our art moves species whose sensory organs evolved in entirely different environments? Why our battle tactics succeed when logically superior approaches fail?" Gutty nodded, all 4 eyes fixed on Ward. "Because we're terrified," Ward said simply. "We're not naturally stronger or smarter than you. We're just more desperate." He gestured around the bar. "Look at the Muldarians over there. They've had interstellar peace for 12,000 years before we showed up. The Philosians evolved on a world with no natural predators. Even your species' Jai-up civilization has never faced an extinction-level threat. And humans have? Gutty asked. Constantly, Ward replied. We've spent our entire history fighting against nature, against each other, against extinction. Winning isn't just something we do, it's how we survive. He picked up the medal, looked at it with an expression Gutty couldn't quite interpret. You know what humans call it when we don't win, when we participate honorably but don't take home the medal? Gutty shook his head. Losing, Ward said. And historically, humans who lose don't get to go home and try again next year. They die. Their civilizations collapse. Their children starve. So we learn to win, at any cost. He stood up, leaving the medal on the table. That's why I'm giving this back. Because the cost was too high, even for a species that specializes in paying terrible prices for victory. Gutty stared at the medallion. And they won't let you refuse it. I know, Ward said. That's why I'm not going to be there. My transport leaves in an hour. He nodded at the holoprojector. Keep that. Show it to whoever you want. Or don't. Your choice. As Ward turned to leave, Gutty found himself asking one final question. If winning costs so much, why do humans keep competing? Why not just stop? Ward paused, considered. Because we don't know how, he said finally. Because the alternative terrifies us even more. A small, sad smile crossed his face. Maybe in another few thousand years of peace we'll learn. I hope so. He walked away then, leaving Gutty alone with a medal, a holoprojector full of uncomfortable truths, and the beginnings of an understanding that would change everything the reporter thought he knew about the species that won all the medals. Recording begins. Station ID, GNN 8502, Program Special Report with Gutty. This is Gutty with a special report on the recent Galactic Medal Ceremony. Gutty appears on screen, skin a calm professional blue. Behind him is footage of the ceremony in progress. Captain Jason Ward was conspicuously absent from yesterday's proceedings, his savior of the Alliance Medal accepted by Admiral Corian on his behalf. Official sources cite health concerns for the captain's absence. Gutty's expression becomes more thoughtful. This reporter has spent the past 3 days reconsidering what victory means, not just in war but in all forms of competition. What drives some to excel while others merely participate? What separates those who consistently stand atop podiums from those who watch from below? Perhaps the question isn't whether some species deserve the medals they win. Perhaps the real question is what winning costs, and whether that price is always worth paying. Gutty touches a control panel and the background image changes to show a memorial listing the names of all those lost in the War of the Seven Systems. Hundreds of millions of names from dozens of species scrolling endlessly, including 6 highlighted human names: Saito, Johnson, Mbeki, Rodriguez, Petrov, and Chang. This is Gutty reporting for Galactic News Network. Until next time, perhaps we should consider that not all victories can be measured in medals. Recording ends. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave it a like and to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Feel free to comment and share it as well. With all that said, go on and check out the video in the top left. I think you might like it.